Hi, I'm Wanda from Melinda Craft, and today we're going to be making this rail fence quilt. So let's get on and show you how to do it. So here's what you're going to need. Now these three colours here are going to make up our block. Now you're going to cut the outside pieces at 2 3/4 inches by the width of the fabric, so that's cutting right across the fabric from fold to selvage, and you'll need 5 strips in those two colours, and then the centre of the block measures 5 inches, also cut across the width of the fabric, and you'll need 5 strips of those. So that will make up our block. Now for the borders we need a piece that's 2 inches, and we're also going to just cut that across the width of the fabric, and you'll need 5 strips of those. And then for our outside border you'll need 5 strips measuring 4.5 inches. So that's going to make up the top of our quilt. Now the binding and the backing measurements will all be on the website, and there'll be a link in the description below. So now it's time to sew our strips together, and from there we'll be able to form our blocks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the outside pieces and lay it down here. Now I don't bother cutting the selvages off at this stage because I'm going to trim these blocks later. So I just lay these down, matching up the edges, and then I'll just pin it down here, down the side. Now once I've done that and sewn it all the way down with a 1/4 inch seam, I'll bring it back and I'll actually do the same with the other side. So lining up the tops, again not worrying about the selvages, and I'll pin and sew it down 1/4 inch all the way down this side. So as you can see, I've sewn my strips together. So I have my 3 strips here, and I've done 5 lots of these 3 strips, and you can see I've got the rest of them here. Now as you can see, I've just pressed the seams outwards, and I've done that on all 5 strips. Now if you've done a nice 1/4 inch seam, your strips should measure 9.5 inches across here. So our next step is to remove the selvages and to cut them into blocks. So I'm going to line my ruler up along the edge here, or if your edge is a little bit wonky, which sometimes some fabrics are, you can use your seam line to line up. And we're going to cut off our selvages. So we're all lined up nicely, and we'll just cut off the selvage. Go. Now because I'm right-handed, I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to be using my mat to do my measurements, and I'm going to cut this strip into 9.5 inch blocks. Okay, so let's line it up on our line here. Okay, and I come along. Now I'm using the mat, and I have a nice long ruler, so I put on the 9.5 here and a 9.5 on this other end here. So I know that that's straight. Just straighten up my material. All good. And there we go. So that's my 9.5 inch block there. And then I'm just going to move the fabric down, and I'm going to do the same all the way along the strip, and I'll get 4 9.5 inch blocks out of this strip. And once I've done this strip, I'll do exactly the same with the other 4 strips. So I have my 20 pieces cut, as you can see here, and now I've started laying them out. And what I've done here is I've laid them out in this fashion. I've gone blue at the top, blue at the side, blue at the top, blue at the side. Then for the second row, I've got blue at the side here, blue at the top, blue at the side, blue at the top. And what you'll do is you'll alternate those patterns down the quilt. So our next row will be the same as our first row, the one after that will be the same as this row, and our last row will be the same as the first row. Now it's time to form our rows. So what I'll do is I'll take the first block, just bring it over and lay it right sides together, and I'll pin down here and sew down with a 1/4 inch seam. And then I'll do exactly the same with these two. One right sides together, pin and sew with a 1/4 inch seam. Then when I've sewn those 2 lots together, I'll join them together by placing one on top of the other and doing the same thing. And I'll repeat that for each row. So I have my blocks now joined into rows, and I'm just going to show you how I press the seams. Now on this top row, where I've joined the seams, joined the blocks, I have the seam pressed going this way. So all along there, wherever the blocks are joined, the seam goes that way. Now on the next row down, the seams go the other way. And there's a reason for this. Okay, so you can see that. It's so that when I take this row and lay it over here, the seams will nest nicely together. And that will mean my joins will be perfect. So just make sure that it's like that. You can feel that it's slipped into place, and that's how I'll pin it. So I'll pin all along here, making sure that those nested seams join up nicely, and then I'll sew it along here with a 1/4 inch seam. And I'll do the same with the next 2 rows as well. So now it's time to start adding our borders. I've taken my 5 border strips and I've cut the selvages off both ends of these strips. Now my border is 45.5 inches, so these strips are not long enough, so I will have to join 2 together. And to do that, what I'll do is I'll place one on top of the other and just join them across here with a 1/4 inch seam, and then I'll come back and I'll measure them so that they're at the right length. So I've sewn those 2 strips together, and you can see the seam line here, and I've cut this piece now at 45.5, so that's the right size, and the piece here that was left over that I've cut off, I'm now going to join that onto my other strip, and then I'll do the same thing. I'll just join those 2 together and then measure it and cut it to size. So I have my 2 pieces of border for the long edge cut, and I'm going to just put these pieces right sides together, so the border piece and the quilt, and I'm just going to sew down here with a 1/4 inch seam all the way down. So I'll do that on both of these long sides. So I've sewn on the long strips, and now it's time to do the top and the bottom, and I've cut my 2 pieces of border to 39.5, and I'm just going to do the same thing again. Lay the border on top of the quilt, pin it and sew it with a 1/4 inch seam, and I'll do that on the top and on the bottom. So now we're going to do our outer borders. These were 48.5, so again I had to add 2 strips together, and now all I'm going to do is I'm going to just lay that right sides together and sew all the way down with a 1/4 inch seam, and I'll do exactly the same on the other side. So I've got the long strips attached, and now we're going to do the top and the bottom, and again I've had to extend it using an extra piece of fabric because it wasn't long enough, and now I'm just going to lay that right sides together and sew all the way along with a 1/4 inch seam. I'll do this one, and then I'll do the one on the bottom. So there we are, we have our rail fence variation quilt top finished, and all the measurements for both the quilt top and the backing and the batting will be on the website, so don't forget to head on over there and it'll show you everything you need. And if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our channel. You can also find us on Facebook, Pinterest and Instagram.